Hello and welcome to Bio 138. My name is Rob Smith and I'm going to be the instructor for the class that you have signed up for. So this class, which happens to be Heredity, Ethics, and Society, is intended for non-major students. And it is a non-laboratory course. So this class is going to be going through some of the common aspects that you would see within the area of biology and taking it at the level of the non-majors. Now, some of you that are probably going to take this class are going to be like, oh my gosh, like he's using these terms like eukaryotic, prokaryotic, but those terms happen to be fairly common within the field. And again, it's expected that you do know some of those terms and that you're comfortable with going ahead and using them. Now, I'm not going to go into, a whole lot of cellular difference between eukaryotic and prokaryotic, but it just serves as the beginning right there. So like I said, this class is intended for non-majors. In addition, this class happens to be here for going ahead and being taught in the winter session using an asynchronous approach. And what you have to remember here is that we're taking 16 weeks, if you will, of a semester, 45 hours roughly of class time, and we're going ahead here. We're going to still do the 45 hours of class time, but we literally have this much time to do it in. So we're going to fit 45 hours into roughly 4 weeks of class here. So you're going to be looking at roughly between about probably 8 to about 15 hours of work per week in addition to studying and everything else. So with that, again, it's going to be a fairly fast-paced course. Now, the video here today is to take you through the class, talk to you about the setup and everything else. So the first thing that you can go ahead and do is you can click on this link right here, which happens to say MCC syllabus. This is the syllabus for this class, and with it you can go ahead and you can download it and you can save it, so if you ever need to go ahead and present the syllabi for transfer, it is available for you to go ahead and then physically present. So it would be good for you to go ahead and save that file as a PDF. Now, I'm not going to click on this link, and the reason why I'm not going to click on it is because I'm making this video in advance of the course, and so sometimes Canvas acts a little bit weird when I'm trying to make things ahead of time, and even though the class hasn't started. So it's going to kind of look at some of those things a little bit weird. So with that, what I happen to have here is a version right here of the syllabi. And as I said, this class is asynchronous. So with the class being asynchronous, we're going to basically break this quarter or this semester down into 4 quarters. And so when you take a look here at the home page that I happen to have here for you, you've got an area where you can click on the video link that I'm making right now. You've got an area here for the textbook, but right here, if you notice part number 1, the introduction, there are going to be 3 different sessions. One's going to be about the study of biology, one is about the scientific method, the other is about chemistry. And then exam number 1 is going to be this coming weekend, which is December 19th, starting at Saturday at, I have a typo here, it says 6 p.m. I actually need to now change that to 6 a.m. So when you see it, it'll say 6 a.m. And then the exam closes December 20th at 10 p.m. The big thing to note is everything is based on Central Time. So if you are an individual who is taking this class and you're in the East Coast or if you're in the mountain area, please understand that everything is Central Time based, okay? And then the other thing, in many cases for especially exams, I really don't like to push exams to 11:59 for the due date just because, again, many people will try to go ahead and stay up until the wee hours, if you will, of the night, and it just doesn't happen to give people good exam scores when you look at individuals that try to cram everything in. Okay? So as I was saying here, we're breaking the quarter down, or we're breaking the semester down into 4 quarters. So you can see right here there's a part number 1, an introduction. And this week we are going to be going ahead and doing part number 1, the introduction. So you can see there's a little bit here about the study of biology, a little bit about chemistry and the scientific method, and then we will have an exam here. So this is what we will complete. And then eventually we're going to go into the structure of the cell, which is part number 2. So we'll have, again, talking about cellular biology and what makes the cell a cell, talk about how cells divide and develop, which is cell division, And then we'll go into human reproduction and prenatal development, because again, many of those processes do happen to be cell-driven. Okay? After we get done with that part of the quarter, the next thing we'll do is we'll take a look at genetics. So we'll go ahead and we'll look specifically at, what is the field of genetics and what is molecular biology, and then get into its application, which is biotechnology. So those are the three areas right there for that 1 quarter of the semester. And then the final quarter is going to be the application, looking at the ethics, looking at the morals, and everything else that go with that. So as you can see right now, none of these links happen to be active, and you can see that none of the other exam dates happen to be posted here. But rest assured, in a week here, these will all be updated so that way you can begin them. So the way that you can look at this is that part number 1 is going to basically begin December 14th through the 21st. And then, of course, part number 2 right here is going to go from December 21st through the 28th, and then so forth. So that's the way that we're going to break this thing down and everything. Okay. Now, as I was mentioning, since this class is asynchronous, you have to finish all of this material within the week. And there's going to be certain due dates, like when you take a look over here on the side, there's a discussion board post that's going to be due for December 16th. And you're also going to have some homework here that's going to be due on December 18th. And then you'll have another short quiz that's also going to be due as well later on in the week with, again, an exam. So those assignments will pop up over here on this to-do list. And all of the directions for these, and I'll explain them to you in a bit, happen to be inside of here. Okay? But I want to get back to the syllabi. So taking a look again at the syllabi that we happen to have here for the course, again, the class is asynchronous. My name is Rob Smith, like I said, and my email address is rsmith@mchenry.edu. It's typically the best way to contact me. If you send me a message through the Canvas message page, I will respond to those messages as well. In fact, I have my Canvas page set up so it will forward your messages on Canvas to my email, and then all I have to do is go ahead and respond to that. So either way, if you go into my email or if you go into Canvas, I'll respond to it. Probably the worst method of contacting me is actually going to be trying to call me on the phone, because again, due to COVID, I am not located in the office at all. So please understand, I don't ever respond to phone messages. So please do not call me, okay? So for this course, the big thing that you're going to need is going to be the book. And then the other thing, of course, would be a web camera. So the web camera is going to be big for using the Respondus Lockdown browser, and I'll talk about that in the coming week here. Okay. Now, the textbook, if you will. So notice right here, the book is called CK12 Biology, and so where you can actually find that, since this does happen to be an open source resource material, if you go back here to the Canvas homepage, you'll see where it says textbook link, and it'll say, of course, click on this link for the PDF textbook. And then at that point, you'll see a little file right here that says textbook, Bio 138, Heredity, Ethics, and Society, Flexbook. You can go ahead and you can click on that book. Okay? So that happens to be the textbook for the course and where it's located. If you want to, you can go to the MCC library, and I believe for about $5, you can buy a printed version of the textbook. So again, it doesn't matter if you want to go PDF or if you want to go with the printed version. Okay. Just a description of the course, some of the objectives here that we're going to be going through, a little bit of a course outline, if you will, and then after we get done with that course outline here, of course, looking at it is going to be the grades. In this class, we're going to have a total right there of 300 total points altogether. Okay. Those 300 points are going to consist of 3 exams at 50 points apiece, so 3 times 50 equals 150. And then you're going to have assignments, and those assignments are discussion board posts, they're homework assignments, they're short answer quizzes, and other types of assignments that I happen to post throughout the semester, if you will. Those are going to add up to also 150 points. So when you look at it, you're going to get about half your points through exams. The other half is going to be from assignments that you are going to be completing. So it's not going to be, again, a course where typically in science courses you have, like about 3/4 of your points are exams, and then like the other, quarter is going to be from the lab. This one's about half and half. So it's, again, a class where if you're not very good with exams, keep up with your assignments. And again, it's a very doable class when you take a look at it. Okay. The exams, just to let you know, are typically going to be about 25 questions in length, and you're going to have about 30 minutes to complete them in. The web browser is not going to be open the entire time for you to take as unlimited amount of time. So again, you have to know the content before you actually go ahead and begin to take the exam. So please don't go ahead and all of a sudden open up the exam and take it and expect that you're going to do well on the material if you're not prepared, because you're not going to have the time if you're an individual that's like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and have my cell phone out, which again, you're not going to have your cell phone out. But if you were that person who, again, found a way around the lockdown browser, you're not going to have enough time to look you're not going to have enough time to look everything up, if you will. So again, understand that you have to be prepared ahead of time. Okay. Now, the other thing too to let you know about exams, during these exams right here, we're going to be using the Respondus Lockdown browser. Your first quiz is going to incorporate this, so that way, again, you get a chance to see how it works and get used to going ahead and utilizing that material right there. I do allow you to go ahead and retake the exam, so you can go ahead and take up to 2 retakes, and the highest of the 2 scores will actually be kept for you. So congratulations. This is not something I do in my other science classes that I do for majors. So consider yourself privileged, because if I told people that I did that, they'd be like, you do what? And probably look at me a little cross-eyed. So big thing, if you are going to do retakes, make sure you take the first exam as soon as possible. So that way, if you wish to go ahead and do a retake, you do happen to have time. So if the exam closes at 10 p.m. on a Sunday night, make sure that you happen to probably take that first exam on a Saturday, so that way you can come into it on a Sunday. I would not recommend that you go ahead and sit down with the exam Sunday night at 9 p.m. and then immediately expect to go ahead and take the next one at 9:30 p.m. You're going to need a little bit of time possibly to go through some of the material. Okay. The other thing too with going through the material and everything, please understand, I'll get into that in just a bit about what the expectations are. But this is a very doable class. Okay. The other thing too to let you know that I will let you look at your previously completed exams, but you'll have to use the lockdown browser, and they'll be available up to 2 days after the exam. So if we take the exam on a Sunday, you can look at them online on Monday and Tuesday and see the results. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. We can go through it. Sometimes I do write bad test questions. The other thing too, sometimes this whole Canvas quiz apparatus sometimes changes things and is not very user-friendly on my side. So I've had to go back and sometimes change things. Okay. The other course policy, discussion posts. Please make sure, again, that you keep up with discussion posts, and I'd always recommend that you do them in the beginning. I'm not always a big fan of doing discussion posts and things of that nature, so please go ahead and get to them early. I'm only going to do just a few of them throughout the semester, just kind of be a little bit interactive, but I'm not a hardcore, like every single session have a discussion post, because sometimes I think in a content-heavy class, that discussion post can become kind of a bit cumbersome. That at the end of the day, when you're trying to look at a fact, you can only really look at it from one point of view, if you will. So anyways, with that, please understand that. Okay. When you go ahead and do your post, please make sure that you follow it up as soon as possible as well. Okay. Try not to hold off until the last second, so that way, again, we can have some good conversations in here. All right. The other thing too here with this whole idea of academic honesty, I am going to require again that you use a lockdown browser. You're going to be taking your exams again within about a 30-minute block roughly. And so with that, I expect that your work area to actually be clear of any sort of materials. And if I happen to be viewing a video and I think that you're going to be going ahead and getting some sort of advantage, or that you're going ahead and trying to cheat, if you will, there does happen to be this academic policy. So when I talk about the video, the Respondus Lockdown browser will utilize a web camera. And if you do not have a web camera, we may happen to have a few at MCC that we can loan to you. In addition, you can also come to MCC to complete your exams. So that is something that is possible to go ahead and do You will just have to plan it out in advance. And granted, it's not very convenient, but it is there for you. So I can, again, watch you during that lockdown browser, and I can see that, okay? So please understand that. And, if all of a sudden, you happen to have a 4-year-old child and the 4-year-old child, runs into the screen or something, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, life happens, and during this whole pandemic era, if I see something like that, I'm not going to blow a gasket. I'm not that type of person. I'm actually a very student-oriented type of instructor. I just ask that at the end of the day that your word is your name and your name is your word. And what I mean by that is, again, you work with me honestly, I'll work with you honestly. I don't approve of cheaters. And so with that, again, if I think that you're cheating, that's a little bit different. But again, I see a kid run into a screen while you're taking a test. Life happens. I get that. If that kid is all of a sudden going ahead and handing off a tablet to you that's got all the answers for the exam, that's a little bit different. Okay? So with that, please, I'll work with you. Okay? And again, I just ask that you're straightforward and honest. Okay? The withdrawal date for the class is going to be January 3rd. Okay? Now, as we take a look here at this class and everything, what we're going to have is the first area number 1, module number 1, is going to be dealing with, again, the study of biology, the scientific method, and chemistry. And you can see the corresponding pages here that happen to be within the book. You will have, of course, an exam that will open up on the 19th at 6 a.m. and, of course, close at 10 p.m. I mentioned this to you. Module number 2 is going to be cellular biology. So again, you can see the week for cellular biology. You can see the chapters that we happen to have here. And again, that exam will open up on December 26th at 6 a.m. and close at 10 p.m. Module 3 will be dealing with genetics. So again, you can see that we do happen to have genetics there. And then module number 4, I don't have it posted on here, but module number 4 is going to be dealing with ethics. There's no exam for that one. It happens to be a little bit more open, if you will. So that is going to be module number 4. Okay? And so no exam with module 4. Now, the big thing, right? How do you study for exams? What's going to be on the test? That's always going to be a question that people happen to have. So going back to the Canvas homepage, all right? So I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to click back over this Canvas page. So I'm going to go back to home right here. You can see how I have session number 1, the study of biology, session number 2, scientific method, session number 3, chemistry. I'm going to use the same format in all 3 of these sessions. Okay? So when you click over here on session number 1, what I have listed up here is going to be the learning objectives. This happens to specifically be the content that you are responsible for. So as you take a look, it says be able to list and explain the significance of the characteristics of life, and then it says lecture. And you're like, well, what does he mean by lecture? I'll get to that in a moment. And then the other one I have over here is understand how the characteristics of life contribute to the 4 general principles of biology, and that says page 13-15. And then you'll see a few other of these ideas are all related to the lecture. So these are the learning objectives. And if you take a look down below right here where it says videos and video lecture, Bio 138, lecture number 1, introduction. So if you click on this link, what you're going to then go ahead and get is going to be the following right here, which happens to be very specifically a lecture that was designed by me to get you through this first piece of content material. Now, if during the video I feel that the textbook happens to explain a concept really well, I will reference the pages. So if you notice right here, it says page 13-15 for this specific objective. So with that, over here happens to be, sorry, wrong click, but over here happens to be the book. And so right here happens to be page 13, the unifying principles of biology. So here's the cell theory. And then, of course, here's gene theory, homeostasis, and evolution. So you can see those 4 concepts right there as they happen to be. And so basically what I'm showing you right now, I'm kind of losing my clicks here because I have so many places to go. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of driving some of you guys probably a little crazy right now. Here we go. So right here, this is again, page 13 through 15. That's the pages in the book. So I don't want you to read from page number 1 to page number 31. I want you to look at these objectives. Sometimes the material will be online in the videos. Sometimes it will be within the book. Okay, so that's, again, what I'm trying to show you here. Now, while you're watching the videos, if you would like the PowerPoint slides, notice how this video is called Bio 138, Lecture Number 1, Introduction. So if you would like the PowerPoint slides, right here it says PowerPoint Bios. This is Bio 138, Lecture 1, Introduction. You can download this, and if you want to take notes, you can go ahead there and you can write out notes. So that way, again, it kind of like being in a regular face-to-face class, where if you wanted to print off your notes and take notes during the session, you can definitely do that. Okay. Now, the other thing that you're also going to find there on this page is at the bottom it says assignment. So your first assignment is a discussion board. So right here it says introduction. You can just click right here where it says introduction. And right now, of course, it says that this is still locked, but it will open up for you, and this will be where you do your first discussion post. So again, the way that I have everything set up here is I have an area for you to say, this is what I need to look over. This is where the material is going to be, which means, hey, I need to watch the video, or I need to read these pages specifically in the book. Here happens to be the lecture. Here's the PowerPoint. And when you get done, please go ahead and again complete this discussion board post. And the first post right there is just an introduction, kind of like a say hi, who are you type of post right there. And the due date for that notice is December 16th. So it does have, the class opens on a Monday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You've got 3 days to go ahead and get that posted. So please make sure you get things posted, okay? Then after you get done with this session, when you're ready, what I would probably recommend that you actually do is go back over here to the home page, and then you can go to session number 2. And this one is going to be exactly like setup the previous one was. So you'll have an area where there's learning objectives, you'll have an area where there's the video link, and then you'll have an area where the assignment is at on what you need to go ahead and complete. So that's how everything's kind of set up here for this semester. And like I said here, these links right now are pretty active. I have to go through them yet, double check them, make sure everything is good, but for the most part they are. I still have to write the test, but you're not going to be taking the test until Saturday and Sunday, so I don't need to get that posted quite yet, but I'm going to get it posted. Can you take it early? No. I have the exam again on Saturday, and it will close on Sunday, so that's your goal. Your goal is to get through these 3 sessions by Saturday to get you ready for that exam, okay? The other thing, too, on session number 3 in chemistry, you're going to have to take an online quiz. That online quiz is going to utilize the Lockdown browser, so that way you get used to using it and see how it functions. So that way we kind of work out the bugs beforehand, okay? And then after this week, you'll see part number 2 will go ahead here and it will become active. The links will become active. I don't want to make it active right now because if I do, I'm sure some people will start clicking in there and they really shouldn't be clicking in there. But again, that may happen. So I don't like to post those things until they're needed. So again, probably on Sunday night, all of these links will become active. So that way on Monday, on the 21st, you can come in here and be like, boom, I'm ready to go. Okay? I am always here for you. I'm here to help you succeed. But at the end of the day, you need to set yourself up for success. And what I mean by that is you need to find a time to work on this a little bit each day. So that way you don't feel overwhelmed. Even though procrastination might be a way that you've gone ahead and succeeded in other places, at some point when you're trying to take an intense winter session class where all the material again has been taken here from 16 weeks and put into 4 weeks. Sometimes it can be, again, very daunting. I know that we're in the middle of the pandemic. I know that we happen to have, of course, Christmas coming up, or whatever, holiday it is that you happen to go ahead and celebrate. Which again, Hanukkah here just started the other day. So again, there's a lot of stuff that goes on at this time of the year, but you need to go ahead and, just like carving a pumpkin, you need to carve out your little time. You need to set yourself up for success, okay? So with that, please ask me questions. Please get started with this class early, okay? If you have anything, please let me know. I'm here for you. Otherwise, again, just go ahead and reach out to me whenever you happen to need me. And like I've said before, I am always here to help you succeed. So until I see you at another time, again, have a good semester. And if you need to reach out to me, please go ahead and do so. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.